Hi, I'm Kathryn Nagle. I've been a playwright for about 20 years. I am also a full-time attorney, and I do a lot of work to restore tribal jurisdiction and sovereignty to tribal nations so that they can protect their women and children who live within their borders. And these are my pro tips. Theater and playwriting, or the art of making theater, is a collaborative process for a reason, and that there really is magic that happens when you work with a director and actors, and to not forget that in the process. So I always remind folks that that's sometimes where the most magical things happen. None of my plays are done. I'm still making changes to them. It's okay to keep writing. You're not going to get it right the first time or even the first production. The more you write, the better you get. And I think that when I first started writing, I looked at my writing compared to others and thought that it was drastically insufficient compared to other playwrights. And if you're just starting, of course that's going to be the case. Practice makes perfect. No one should strive to be perfect. That's not a human quality for any of us. But certainly recognizing that the more you write, the more you practice and the more you get into it, and don't be afraid of the rough drafts being not high quality, you'll realize that your writing does improve over time. As a lawyer, I am constantly amazed at how plays can achieve what legal writing cannot. And I give that example because I have fought for years to change laws that are harmful to Native women and children in the United States Supreme Court. And it really wasn't until one of the justices from the Supreme Court came to see one of my plays at Arena Stage that we started to see that Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, start to approach the topic of tribal sovereignty with less of a colonial lens and more of a focus on how tribal sovereignty intersects with safety for Native women. I don't know that it was just my play that did it, but I do think that theater has a unique capability of opening hearts and minds to issues and topics that people otherwise would not even consider. Because we've become such an us versus them society, that everyone is so entrenched in the us versus them narrative that it takes something outside of the normal political discourse to really open up hearts and minds to the human reality of trauma and why we need to change certain things in this country. And I think theater is uniquely capable of doing that. Everyone is suffering from gun violence, but I will say that our youth are having a very unique traumatic experience because of the gun violence in this country, especially because of the way in which our schools have been targeted with gun violence. And I think that our youth have a critical voice in why we must come together as a nation to stop gun violence. And so I think that for our youth, it is so critical to hear from them on this topic that affects them in a unique way that adults will never fully understand unless we hear from the youth. And I think too, it's an important way for the youth to get their voice out and to be heard. And so I hope everyone who is interested in this topic or who has been affected or would consider writing, even if it's your very first play that you've ever written. It's never too late or too early to start.